with Steve Cat, Ryan, Amanda, and Eric. In the voice of MEW, Vince Berry. Hitting all the topics like a clothesline flurry. Turn up your speakers and hear them out. You can listen from your car, even on your couch. They too raw, who NXT? Handing out SmackDowns, follow on IG. Plus, it's sponsored by Tag Me a Date. Go to YouTube and sub now for every update. It's all wrestling here. No safe space, now listen in. Time to hear from some of the greats.
We asked for it, and we got it. A new theme song for Keith Lee. So much better than the bullshit that they had. And, I mean, it's a shame we couldn't keep the original, but I'll take this over the last bullshit.
Oh, it's 10 times better.
What up, Vinnie Mac?
Oh, not too much.
We're just talking about Keith Lee's new music.
Oh yeah, it's
very excited.
It's like kind of a remix of his. He did a song on the Indies for himself.
Oh, is that right?
Like and it was like it's like a reworking of that, but obviously with like WWE's production quality on it. So not a bad thing. I'm glad he finally has music that sounds more fitting of Keith Lee.
Oh, I mean, listen, it's him rapping it too, which helps. You know, it's definitely, there are similarities, I think, to the original as well. And when I say original, I mean an NXT version for me.
Limitless, yeah.
Right. So for me, this one works. And in case you haven't figured it out, this is the War Report podcast.
That's right. The War Report podcast brought to you by TagMeADate.com, the first and only dating site exclusively for fans of professional wrestling. We're undergoing a site redesign and temporary shutdown as COVID-19 is still an issue, and we don't want to be responsible for anybody going out on a date and having some person cough in their face and getting sick. So we're going to figure out what the future of that is for dating, as we all do collectively, and move on from there. But yes, the War Report podcast, all about pro wrestling.
Listen, before we really dive into the topics, this is actually a perfect segue based on relationships and, you know, things like that. There's a rumor going around the internet that I caught wind of. Actually, the Medulla, if you remember the Medulla, he sent me a text asking if I knew anything about this. But there is rumors that, along with Randy Savage, that Stephanie McMahon may have slept with Bruce Pritchard.
Oh shit! I did see that earlier this week.
I never heard that before.
I never heard.
You're kidding me.
I never heard that until now.
This is the second time I've seen it brought it up. Once I saw in the Reddit comments of something, and I thought it was strange there, and I kind of
Medulla's like, you've got to bring this up.
I kind of put it out of my head because it seemed silly. I'm like, that's not. Now that you're the second person to bring it up, and Medulla saw it. I'm not saying it gives more credence to the rumor. I think it's an outlandish rumor, but it also...
Oh, we know absolutely nothing, and we don't know if it's true or not. But, you know, at the same time, you know, it's one of those...
Thinking. Ooh, yeah. Could you imagine Macho goes up, Pritchard, I seen the look in your eyes when you're looking at Stephanie.
Oh, God, could you...
There's a list.
That's so funny. So I just
explode.
I figured, you know, let's start with that bullshit. We'll get it out of the way. Okay, we can't confirm or deny.
If anybody has anything more they'd like to add, because we can't comment on something that seems like it is potentially false or disparaging or otherwise would get us in trouble with
I hope to God it's just a rumor, because that's just a vision I really don't want to have.
I would love it if Conrad asks this on the next something to wrestle with Bruce Pritchard, and he just goes, so Bruce, chat me up. You and Stephanie, who booked that shit? All right. And he just has to explain it. Like, what the fuck are you gonna do?
Bruce has mentioned the whole Savage thing on his show. You know, mentioning that specific thing. So
I love Lanny Poffo. I love Lanny. He did a shoot interview with Kayfabe Commentaries a few years ago.
Loves to tell stories, I'll tell you that.
He does. He's a talker. But
I'm just visioning right now, Stephanie, I love you.
Oh no, and his face.
But that doesn't mean that I like you.
But yeah, no, I just, Lanny's told, Lanny was asked directly by Sean Oliver of Kayfabe Commentaries. He says, "Do you know? Can you confirm or deny the story of Stephanie and Macho?" And he couldn't. He just wasn't I guess at the time of the allegations, Lanny wasn't around, so
the genius wasn't a thing at that time,
and he didn't want to speculate. Obviously, the way he was very diplomatic in saying that, knowing his brother, he wouldn't believe that his brother would do something like that, but at the same time, kind of gave a non-answer that left me wondering after I watched. Like, the whole reason I watched an hour-long interview with Lanny Poffo. Not that I don't like Lanny, but goddamn, how many times can you do, cartwheels and throw frisbees out into the crowd? So, like, I'm not going to sit there and listen for a whole interview unless you're going to give me something juicy. I spent an hour, and I'm like, all right, we're going to get an answer. Did Macho do it or didn't he do it? And the way he answered, I'm like, oh, maybe Macho did this thing. Like, I don't want to say that he definitely did or definitely didn't, but, like, Lanny did not sufficiently answer that question for me.
But see, like, his relationship that he had, like, that Randy Savage had, like, with Gorgeous George and everything, he did tend to sometimes go towards the younger women. I can see that. Yeah. I can't see, and I could see Stephanie almost in the Randy Savage, like, type thing. I can kind of see the muscular involved in the wrestling thing. I don't know what the fuck you'd see in Bruce Pritchard. Sorry.
I don't know. That guy, he'd have to have a hog on him. That's the only thing I can think
And the makeup would have to be off, because if not, that's sticking all over her ass all night.
Yeah, like you guys were saying earlier, that cannot be the voice that you do in the middle of intimate relationship. You just whisper.
But I don't think I can separate the two either, so to speak.
That's the problem. That's the problem I have for sure.
I can picture, like, listen, I wouldn't have never kicked Randy Savage out of my bed. I will say that freely. If I had the opportunity, I'm taking it.
That's funny.
Bruce Pritchard, no, I don't want to be involved in wrestling that bad to have that in me.
Just you walk into the bedroom.
Oh my God. Mood over.
Could you fucking imagine?
You try to sleep your way up to the top sometimes. There's not much of a mountain when it's brother love.
That song, oh my God.
Oh my God. I think I'd rather have Mark Henry, Mae Young in a hand.
That was
what if Marcel Bro played?
Oh, yeah. Oh, oh my goodness. My big fat cat. So yeah, Survivor Series happened, and then Monday Night Raw happened, and we're here.
Oh, thank you for that segue. Thank God.
Yeah, we need to stop talking about Bruce Pritchard sweating through his brother love makeup while fucking stuff. It just seems like the worst possible thing to talk about at any given time. Unless you want, you know what, folks? I want. This is a challenge for the listeners. During Thanksgiving dinner, if you want to ask your family whether or not you think Stephanie McMahon slept with Macho Man and/or Bruce Pritchard, we'd love to hear the feedback of the rest of your family. And I'd also love to see you trying to explain to your grandmother who Brother Love is and who Macho Man was to get your answer.
My grandmother would have known. That's how I got involved in wrestling. But you know,
I love grannies. Man, back when we were allowed to gather in groups, the old ladies at the wrestling shows, like the grannies, were the best because they were the ones that the most.
No joke. Funny story. My grandmother didn't speak English at all, so it was.
Oh yeah.
It wasn't on Channel 5. It wasn't on anything like that. It was on Univision. And we watched it all in Spanish. So I learned how to speak Spanish and learned about wrestling because of my abuelita. So I had two combos that digo, oh, te amo, mi Hulk Hogan, y Hacksaw Jim Duggan. Whoo!
Was
Because
Carlos
Chris said no, so he go, "Oh."
That's fantastic.
Yep.
And Hugo Savinovich?
Yeah, was Hugo doing the commentary? Who would have been doing the commentary on the shows?
Oh my God, you're going back 30 years.
Right.
I have no idea.
Hugo might have. I feel like he's
It may have been,
a
yeah.
long time. Yeah.
Carlos Cabrera.
Right.
Yeah, that's true too.
Those guys tend to stick around. Obviously, I know Hugo's not there anymore.
I guarantee you this, it wasn't a gringo.
No.
Not much of a bar.
So Survivor Series, we went into this show last week. I don't want to say with low expectations because the announced there were some matches like you said. Okay, Drew against Roman is not going to be a bad match, but there just felt like a lot of stuff that didn't carry a lot of weight to it or importance to it. So it wasn't that the matches were going to be bad or good. It was that the story really wasn't there for a lot of this stuff because it's brand versus brand and champion versus champion from two different brands, and there's no title changes. So the only title that changed was the 24/7 title. So that's kind of, when you go into a pay-per-view knowing that nobody's going to, no title's going to change hands, kind of loses a little bit of punch, which is why at the end of it, I was so ready to tell you all to suck it that I was right because it was all set up. Steve, I don't know if you guys are watching. At the end of the show, Roman choked out Drew and left him out cold and was walking away. And I'm like, this is it. This is what I'm talking about. This is the screwy. He didn't tap out. He didn't pin him. The referee called for a stoppage, and he's choked out. The Miz could run in right now, hit him with the briefcase a couple times, cash it in, and win. And he didn't do it. For weeks, I've been saying this was the perfect opportunity to do it, and they even put the situation out there. Like they gave him that was
Plus, he won the Battle Royal in the pre-show.
Right. Here's what I thought. Honestly, I thought part of me was like, okay, Dominic should have still beaten Miz because usually the guy that has the Money in the Bank briefcase puts somebody over the same night that they win the title.
Yeah, like Jack Swagger.
Exactly. So you usually have to lose. So that was when I was kind of like, oh, maybe he's not going to do it because he won the Battle Royal. But at the same time, I'm like, he won a pre-show Battle Royal. That doesn't matter. There's 3 hours worth of show left. And it just, that was my call. That was my pick. I was wrong. But I feel like I deserve some partial credit because all of the trappings of a Money in the Bank cash-in were there. There was a ref bump. There was interference. There was a super kick.
There really was.
The guy was choked out. He was unconscious. All of the check marks were there. And I'm like, all we need is that Miz song to start playing, and we're in business. And I was wrong. So that was the main
I have to say, overall, I was very happy with the pay-per-view. I think
the match.
I agree with you on a lot of lack of story in a lot of the matches and not having any titles, but you kind of knew that going in.
Right.
As far as the matches, I thought they were all pretty decent, and even the finishers, I was pretty good with.
It's one of them. There's one of them I think everybody has an issue with, even though two of us picked me and Kat picked it.
Party lights.
we picked it. Where are they? There it is. We picked, Kat and I picked that Lana would be the sole survivor out of 10 whole people in this match.
Yep. But Vince, I'll tell you no joke. I told Steve and Eric this before the show. I was laughing so hard at that, I actually had an asthma attack. I had to have Justin get me my Primatine and everything. I'm like,
oh, the Primatine mist. Oh my God. Yes.
I was laughing so freaking hard. I started wheezing. I was like,
I was like, they actually did it. I'm shocked. Because here's the thing. Lana got like hit in the face or beat up or whatever it was. and she was getting outclassed.
Yeah.
And
They're
Nia
like,
Jax,
"Oh, over there."
right, Nia Jax literally puts baby in the corner, and she listened to her.
Watermelon.
She stood on the fucking step for 15 minutes. Wouldn't you get bored? I'd get my phone. I'd have to get something. I couldn't just stand there and watch a wrestling match for
I don't
15
know
minutes.
what my stuff is at home.
And then the celebration was so fucking funny because she's like, I'm like so accomplished being the sole survivor, and I didn't do a fucking thing.
And she sounded like Shane McMahon after being best in the world.
And Corey Graves says Lana might be the best of the best. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? Corey Graves, the best of the best.
He was told in the ear to say that
Right.
line.
Yeah.
And I hear Lana go, I'm the best. And I'm like, you're not the best man. He's the best. Miro is the best man. You are not the best woman, whatever.
Lana is the best. Lana number one.
Oh my God, I can't believe she did it. She actually did it.
It was amazing.
By she, I mean the WWE writers and Vince McMahon decided they were going to do this, but in possibly the dumbest way ever. We'll get to the other matches in a second. So, tell me if I'm wrong. Shayna had the Kira Fuda clutch, the chokehold on Bianca Belair, right? And Bianca made it to the ropes.
Beast.
Puts her over really strong. Referee counts to 5. Shayna doesn't break the hold. Shayna's eliminated.
She's disqualified. Yep.
Disqualified.
Count of 5. She didn't let go.
Didn't let go. The only time this has ever happened ever in wrestling where somebody hasn't listened to the 5 count and gotten disqualified.
Yeah, even Andre let go
Very
after
few
4.
times in wrestling.
Even Andre did it.
Yeah. Okay, and then
Very good, Eric.
Yeah, Andre let go after 4. all the
Bianca
time.
rolls out of the ring. So now here's what happened. Bianca's left on SmackDown. Nia and Lana are left on Raw. Lana, as I said, is in the corner crying. And Nia and Bianca both go outside the ring. And the referee starts counting, and I'm like, no.
Yep.
As soon as the referee started counting, I'm like, you're not going to do this.
But that was the second time you thought it was going to happen because remember they were all 9 of them were laid out on the mat, and the only one that was still surviving was Lana. So they actually even teased it beforehand.
Oh yeah. But then was it Nia threw Bianca into the steps or something? But then she tried to put whatever the fuck it was, and Bianca,
she tried to put her through the table.
Bianca comes back and throws her over the barricade into the crowd, the Thunderdome, and they both get counted out, and Lana wins. That's it. No,
and Lana's face was fucking priceless, dude.
And she was like,
do the Lana.
It's always funny. It's always funny in Philadelphia. And they had the wrestling match. And and Danny DeVito's character won the wrestling match. And he's standing there and he looks around and he just goes like this, and then everybody starts cheering. That was what happened. That happened in real life. It was the most you need to talk
and
about
Nia Jax's reaction on her face.
Yeah.
Somebody please bring up another match because I just can't fathom. I can't believe this happened.
All right,
Nia Jax actually had the Miz face, the kid's Miz face when she realized Lana won.
10 years ago, as of Sunday, by the way, 10 years ago.
Yep.
How about Team Raw demolishing?
Wow. I did not expect that.
Did not call that one either.
Oh,
You know,
I saw Survivor.
Somebody in the Facebook comments actually said Lana is the best. Lana is number one.
It wasn't me.
Thank you, Facebook user. Yeah, I knew because here's the thing.
It's Ryan doing it. That's Ryan that wrote it.
That's Ryan.
I just went to the Facebook.
Ryan.
That's Ryan saying it.
I knew Raw was going to win. I didn't think it was going to be a sweep. I didn't think it was going to be that dominant. But here's what I thought. Vince McMahon always perceives Raw as the A show. Even though SmackDown for the last year since moving to Fox has been doing better numbers than Raw, and Raw's numbers have been going down really badly this year, despite the fact, I would have thought ratings would go up because more people are staying home, but it hasn't been the case. People are finding other things to do or other things to watch. But Vince McMahon still perceives Raw as the A show. It's his baby. It's been around for 30 years, all that stuff. So Raw needed the win. If SmackDown won, then they won in the real life ratings. And then within the fictional universe of WWE, SmackDown is better than Raw.
That's very
He
true.
didn't want that to happen. He figures, I think the internal thinking, I'm not just saying Vince McMahon, because it's the upper echelon of people deciding these things. I think in their minds, if Raw wins Survivor Series, maybe that will help the perception of the show. Maybe it'll help people who usually watch SmackDown will tune back into Raw. I don't fucking know. That's what I think happened.
Especially in a dominating way. I mean,
I was gobsmacked because you look at SmackDown, and both teams had a combination of established stars and NXT call-ups that could become stars. And then they just ran over the fucking SmackDown team for no reason. For no reason. Matt Riddle could have looked good. Matt Riddle could have pinned somebody. You know what I mean? Like, you need to build stars. And they built Raw stars at the expense of the SmackDown stars, I think.
Right.
The one match that didn't do that, where the two people still both came out looking like gold, and it's probably more due to the performers, is Lana, or not Lana, God no.
Whoa!
No. I was almost going to say Lana and Asuka because that was the women's championship match last night.
That was last night.
Sundays was
Sasha and Asuka.
And that
was a great match.
Phenomenal.
And nobody looked bad. You know what I mean? It wasn't one of those matches where somebody had to look bad at the finish. It was very even.
It was well done. It was enjoyable to watch.
The tag title thing. Nobody looked bad in that either.
Oh, the Street Profit New Day match was amazing too.
That was one of the matches of the night.
I gave that match of the night, 100%.
To get that bump is crucial. That's great.
Yeah, and part of me was like, man, I should have. After picking the New Day, I'm like, oh, they're going to put over the new tag team, aren't they? But like, what I was trying to do with my picks was evenly spread them between SmackDown and Raw because I didn't feel like one brand was really going to run away with the whole event. I
just realized they didn't do the count this year for which show got which points or whatever either.
I know.
They didn't do like Raw. I don't even know which which show actually won, to be honest with you.
It might have been split down the middle. The 2
5-on-5 matches were Raw.
Yep.
Drew versus Roman, so that's 2 for Raw.
And then SmackDown won the men's title. SmackDown won the women's title, right? Because Sasha beat Asuka, right?
And they won the tag match.
And then Bobby Lashley won the U.S. title Intercontinental. I'm telling you, I think they did it a dead heat.
But then The Miz won the Battle Royal on the pre-show, so that technically gives it to
Raw.
Which show was The Miz on?
This was on Raw because
that was bad. Sorry. So Raw technically won.
But I figured my picks, I was trying to keep it even. Yeah. A couple of them went the opposite way, but it was still ended up being pretty even, like I thought it was going to be. Just didn't reflect on my scorecard. Yeah, I think the matches, like Steve, just to kind of loop back around, all the matches, aside from I didn't like that SmackDown lost those 2 multi-person matches, the way they lost them. I think the women's match.
Seth Rollins thing was hysterical.
So Seth Rollins, according to Meltzer,
you think this is true?
Being written off of TV.
Well, but I'm hearing that it's him being written off TV, which makes sense because she's due soon. Right. The other thing I'm hearing too is that the way he went out was apparently a shot at Riddle, or some shit. Did anyone else hear this bullshit? Is this true?
So here's again. Thank you for bringing up something that I saw online, thought was silly, and put it out of my head.
Yeah, someone fill me in. What is this?
According to the internet.
Okay.
Riddle's wife said some stuff about Becky and the other women's wrestlers on Twitter or Instagram or both. And so Seth doesn't want to. Oh, and there's the lawsuit that's currently going on between the girl that's accusing Melanie, whatever her name is, accusing Riddle of sexual harassment or sexual assault. There's currently an ongoing lawsuit for that, and Seth wants nothing to do with Riddle based on Riddle's wife saying things about Becky and the women's wrestlers, and potentially Matt Riddle being a diddler. So that's the speculation that I've heard. I don't know if it's true or not, because he basically from the things I've heard is that
I think Rollins is too much of a professional.
I know,
where that would be the case.
Seth says, I will not wrestle Matt Riddle. That was his. I don't know who heard him say it. I'm just saying that's what I've seen online. People
but the thing about what she apparently said was in freaking October, so why would it be a big thing now?
I guess because wrestlers are petty and hold grudges. I can't tell you. Like, I don't know. I'm only telling you what the internet tells me, man. I
found it on her Instagram.
Yeah, but I'm not. I don't know how that would correlate, because here's the thing. It might be Matt Riddle's wife. Who cares? She's not a wrestler.
Right.
Well, maybe what I'm saying, she's not with the WWE. She's not somebody who makes decisions for you. So who cares what she says about the women's wrestlers of your company? It's not.
And again, it was like over a month ago already.
Right. So who fucking cares? So I think the whole thing is silly. What I think they did was they're setting up Seth Rollins being the Messiah and this, that, and the other thing, sacrificed himself and crucified himself and all of this Jesus stuff to try and tie that back. There's going to be a reason he did it, and when he comes back, he'll explain why he sacrificed himself for the greater good.
Correct. I agree.
Yeah.
So not with Mysterio ever again.
Yes.
Autumn just said Seth Rollins is going to do it on Easter.
Easter?
Actually, that would make sense.
See, Autumn, you got kudos for that one.
So, what other matches? What are we missing? Obviously, the main event we'll get into. Well, so you had Roman McIntyre, which I thought that match was fantastic.
Yeah,
that was a great
job. Again, I just I knew the finish was going to be something screwy, so I was waiting for it, and I was like, there it is. But other than that, it was as expected, a good match with a screwy finish, but a good match. It was those two guys put the work in for sure.
Yeah, it worked. The whole thing worked. It was well done. I mean, Roman needs the win right now, more so than McIntyre anyway, in my opinion, because Roman's on this hot streak. Not to take anything away from McIntyre, but that match didn't mean anything in the long run. You know what I mean? So
McIntyre got his Brock Lesnar beating moment at WrestleMania.
Right.
So
exactly.
He couldn't go beat Brock and then Roman.
Plus McIntyre just definitively beat Orton, so it's fresh in our minds. So I agree that Reigns was, the right choice.
I agree, man. I think that we knew the finish going in, and that's not always a bad thing because they can pull out some other surprises. But you did know Roman Reigns wasn't losing that match. That wasn't happening.
Right. It was just a matter of how it was going to go down.
Yeah, and having one of the Usos, I mean, that was that's what you needed to do.
I'll be honest, that Uso thing swerved me a little bit.
Well, because it was the other Uso, right?
No.
Oh, no, not even that. I'm just like, it swerved me because there was like some little falling out between him and Reigns earlier. And
you had to know that didn't mean nothing. He was gonna do whatever it takes to get back in his good graces and kiss his ass.
Come out. I thought,
Right. So I want to talk about the main event, and I gotta be on
the retirement ceremony.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about Taker. So I gotta be honest. When it started. I mean, listen, the packages they always put together are always awesome and fun to watch. Their crew is incredible when it comes to that shit. Right. So I enjoyed that. I don't know. I was sitting there saying I expected more. I wasn't overly impressed until He gave his little speech. I heard Paul Bearer's voice and the hologram. That to me was absolutely the most beautiful way to do it. It was so unexpected. It really, like, that one was awesome. The only thing, hell yeah. But the only other thing I was thinking about is, you know how they could have made it even better? Right after that moment, you hear the Druids' music. And they come out with a casket. And the Taker steps inside, lays down, and they wheel his ass back out. And that's, you know what I mean? Like, it would have. Go ahead.
I would have thought you do the gong blackout when the lights come back on. It's just the urn and the hat and the ring.
Yeah.
See, now I'd be okay with that too. But so we're on the same. Something more
with the character to honor the character. Absolutely.
Because here's the thing too. We're sitting here saying his retirement. Thank you, Taker. Which, listen, he's one of the greatest ever. But let's be honest. He has even said it himself. As far as he's concerned, he's retired, but he works for a guy who lives by never say never. So yeah. This is not the last time we're going to see The Undertaker in the ring.
No, I feel like The Undertaker has gone to the Terry Funk school of retirement.
Right. We're not going to see him often, but when we do, I think we're going to see him, and he's going to do some shit. I was excited to see all the legends come out, but again, next thing I know, they're gone. Mm-hmm. So, that
was a little weird.
Now, maybe that was a COVID thing, where they didn't want so many so close, and they're all kind of older. So I kind of get that. At the same time, still sucks. If that's the reason that it has to be that way, it sucks. But overall, I think it was well done. I think they could have done a little more, but at the end of the day, it was.
What did you think of the Tesla coil thing?
The what?
They had the two big Tesla coils that were, so people might not have understood this if they don't like, I don't know. Like, I was a big Science Center kid when I was a child. So those two Tesla coils, they were sending electric shocks through them, but the electric shocks emitted what we equate to as a particular musical note. So you can program those things that when they shock the lightning out, they make music, essentially. So
that was really freaking cool.
Okay, so those two coils, the thing with the lightning that they showed before the Undertaker came out, it might have sounded like a synthesizer or something, but it was actually those two coils making
those noises. Yep.
The lightning was making the Undertaker music.
That's very interesting. Because I didn't pick up on that at all.
Right. So they didn't explain it, and those Tesla coils were there the whole night, and I kept looking at them going, do they have Tesla? Are they going to spark lightning when the Undertaker comes out? And they did, but they used it to play the music a little bit before going into his traditional entrance, which was kind of it was different. It wasn't like, I appreciate them trying something different, but it was just weird because it's real. I've never really seen something like that.
I'm glad he came out the way he did too, because I really thought he was going to ride down on the motorcycle. Like the way he left the match with AJ was how we were getting him back. So I'm glad they did, I'm glad they did it the way they did. I mean, overall, again, I think it was great. I think they could have done a little more, but it just, what I think for me too, is that somebody like The Undertaker deserved that kind of send off, but he deserved it in front of a live crowd.
Absolutely.
And I feel like there's God, hopefully this vaccine will be a thing, and it could be a matter of time before you're allowed to go back to the arenas. I think they could have postponed this a little bit. I don't think, I get it. It's Survivor Series, but so do it next Survivor Series. Give it another year, so he can have the send off in front of, hundreds of thousands of people.
I personally have gone to 3 WrestleManias that all seemed like they were The Undertaker's retirement.
Yeah, that's true.
Exactly.
And we gave him, as a crowd, the fucking send off every time.
It's so true, but if this truly is the send off, you know what I mean? You never know. You never know.
He can always rise from the dead again.
Yeah. How about that?
Did anyone watch Steve Austin afterwards?
What was that?
Did anyone watch the Stone Cold Steve Austin afterwards?
No, I haven't watched it.
Oh my God, you have to. It was freaking amazing.
Oh, I plan on it. There was
It put
a
the other ones to shame. Actually, that's how good this one was.
Yeah,
wow.
I agree.
So overall, I was very happy with the pay-per-view. I
Yeah,
really,
it's a regular appearance.
I thought it was pretty good. I really
you got your Godwin's appearance like you wanted.
we got the Gooker, which, by the way, if anyone didn't know, the Gobbledygooker was played by what's his Gulak, Drew Gulak. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Sucks to be him.
What do you mean? Hey,
So
He's going to get Hector Guerrero again.
yeah, if you asked me to play the Gobbledygooker for a wrestling show, I'd fucking do it.
I would
That's
too.
great.
It
That's
just,
awesome. I mean,
it
come on,
kind of
you get to be
sucks.
how many people get to be the Gobbledygooker?
Who the fuck wants to be the Gobbledygooker?
I mean, for this,
Justin just said, "How much does it pay?"
Yeah, that's a good point.
That's funny. So I want to shift gears. I think we're all pretty much.
No, I think that
Right,
was a pretty good, summary of what the pay-per-view.
We got to see Keith Lee versus Bobby Lashley on Raw, which was a great match. To see those two and the way they work together, what do you guys think? To me, that was one of the highlights of the night.
Oh yeah, the way Keith Lee got out of the what do you call it was awesome. The full Nelson or whatever,
Oh yeah,
when he powered out of it, that was amazing.
and that puts that's another old school, like they still do some old school wrestling stuff. When a hold has been considered unbreakable for so long, like Lashley's, they've really built up this full Nelson as like taking out.
Yeah, it hasn't been done since Chris Masters.
Right, hasn't been.
Yeah,
done since,
true.
But they've made it, they've made it relevant again in the sense that it helped Bobby Lashley by establishing a full Nelson, but then down the line, coming to yesterday, helped Keith Lee by him being the guy to power out of it. That makes him look so much stronger.
I don't know what could make Keith Lee not look strong though, but
Well, the way they've been booking in the last 3 months.
Yeah,
No, stop. No, he still looks strong.
It still doesn't make him not look strong. It's just shitty booking.
I agree, 100%. 100%.
Adam Cole still hasn't landed yet.
No,
Yeah, that's like saying Braun Strowman doesn't look strong no matter what he's doing. The only thing that can make Braun Strowman not look strong is Nicholas. Other than that,
he's put, and that guy really kudos to Braun Strowman for putting the work in.
Look at him
losing weight and in shape. I mean, he's in phenomenal shape now.
He looks amazing. God. Yeah,
and he seems faster than ever. And speaking of Braun. So Braun got himself suspended for on Raw, and I don't know the length of time the suspension is, but he's been suspended indefinitely for the headbutt that he gave to what's his face,
Adam Pearce.
Adam Pearce, which I want you to know the makeup job was horrible on the black and blue mark on his forehead because the way every angle. Showed the headbutt, it was dead on, so it would have been right on his forehead, and instead it was so far back, it was just totally nowhere close to where he got hit. But I'm nitpicking. But at the end of the day,
but yeah. So the stories, he's been suspended. Braun went on his Instagram and made a post about being suspended, and said something about he doesn't have the right last name, he doesn't kiss people's ass. There's all kinds of backstage politics, blah, blah, blah. But I'm like, well, wait a minute. This is all you're complaining about a suspension by saying some real life shit right now. So what are we? Is that how he feels, or is this part of the story? Is it both? I like that he's.
That's part of the story, bro.
Yeah.
Come on.
That he's bringing that into his. He's continuing it on his Instagram page.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I mean but those are the kind of stories that work, right? When you're doing it on TV, you're bringing it to social media. Everything people read on social media, they think is like the real deal. So they can put shit out there just to fuck with you now. And, you know, and then make you sit there and say, oh man, like, is this for real? Like, is he really suspended, or in the WWE universe, is he suspended? You know what I mean? So yeah, I like that. I like the way that's going.
What do you guys think of the way that they've been using Adam Pearce for like the past year now? Like he's really getting involved in a lot of stuff.
He's a fucking GM. I mean, that's basically how it's coming across. He's like the general manager of the brand.
Wrestler for his time, 3-time NWA World Heavyweight Champion, and you know,
it's funny that
he looks bigger than a lot of the guys.
Well, he's big. Yeah, Scrap Iron Adam Pearce had a hell of a career before he became an agent for WWE. But
absolutely,
nobody knows. WWE treats every other company like they don't fucking exist. So you don't know this stuff. Adam Pearce showed up on TV. Who is this bald man? Who is this great value Stone Cold? Tell me who he is. Tell me some facts about it. Just
that was trending for a while the first time he showed up.
But just like all you got to do is say, have Michael Cole go, well, that's Adam Pearce, former 3-time NWA World Champion. He was hired by WWE 2 years ago to as a producer, and now he's, you know, Vince McMahon's whatever messenger for Raw or general like, give us something. It's not just weird guy shows up on TV and starts bossing people around.
Right.
Like this is a thing that Vince Russo used to do. Not to I'm sorry I brought up Vince Russo, but just briefly, Vince Russo would put things on television for the internet fans. Now I know in 2020. Almost everybody that watches wrestling is on the internet. In the year 1998 and 1999, internet presence wasn't as big. So all the stuff about like the dirt sheets and the rumors and all this other crap that he put on TV about people not wanting to do jobs and literally saying shit like that on WCW TV. Oh, this guy doesn't want to put the other guy over. He doesn't want to do business. Like, what the fuck are you doing? He was appealing to this very, very small percentage of people that don't know what the fuck is, what that would even mean. On TV, like using insider terms on TV, nobody got. Now, of course, fans are a little more educated, people more on the internet, but it's still the same thing. There's going to be people who've watched WWE for 20 years, but they wouldn't know Adam Pearce because they didn't watch independent wrestling. So, and they, even if they watch WWE, they might not know that, like, you know, Finley and Dean Malenko and Arn Anderson were producers or agents at one time. They might not know what an agent is. They just know the wrestlers and the characters they see on TV. And to just bring on Adam Pearce and all of a sudden he's an authority figure with no explanation seems like something Vince Russo would do. Go, oh, the internet fans, oh, they'll know this guy was an NWA champion. But it's like, yeah, but you got to tell somebody. The significance of him being a champion means nothing unless you express that to people. Anyway.
I happen to agree with you.
Yep.
But I think he's doing a good job. That's the funny thing. It's like with Retribution. Retribution are I cannot fault Dijak, Dump Truck, Blue Balls, the rest of them. I can't fault them because they are doing the best they can with what they're given.
Right.
And Adam Pearce is doing a great job of what he's given, but they're playing catch up now. With like Adam Pearce, now you kind of have to, like, if you were trying to explain it now, you'd be going back to like explain why he's been around the last year. And like with Retribution, they're starting to go back on like Twitter, like they hacked the WWE Twitter account and they put up these videos that supposedly explained why they thought they were being held down and this, that, and the other thing. It's like, this is all great.
And then they themselves got hacked.
Yeah, and then somebody in real life hacked Dijak Twitter. The one, oh, sorry, Dijak. But when I saw the first tweet was, I'm gay, y'all. And then the next balls in my face. Like, what the fuck? Like, that's just objectively funny. Balls in my face on Twitter. But I wish it would happen to such a nice guy, but still, that shit was funny. Yeah, that was so. But all this stuff, that's great. If the group had just debuted or they hadn't debuted yet, and you're seeing videos about why this person thinks they're being beaten down and held back and the company isn't on my side, blah, 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 and we're going to have a revolution. Great. But we just saw you for like 3 months without that part of the story. We were missing a piece of the puzzle the whole time.
Yeah, the execution of this entire story has just been shitty.
And then they didn't do jack shit Sunday night, last night.
Yeah. Now, what is?
I mean, not that I would have been happy to have seen them, but you would have thought that maybe, like, if this is about taking down the mainstream roster, some form of an attack on Survivor Series would have made sense.
No, I agree with that too. You would think their presence would have been felt somehow, even if they just like hacked the Thunderdome and they were sitting in, like, all of a sudden the faces in the crowd stopped being the audience and they all turned into Retribution's faces.
Oh, that would have been actually pretty damn cool.
Right? I mean, so they're all
until they moved, but
right? Yeah, you know what I mean? It would be like, oh, they're watching. They're always watching you. We don't know where they're gonna be. Like, give us some fucking danger. They're guys in Bane costumes right now. There's no. I don't get that sense of danger and concern. Like when the NWO took over WCW, you're like, man, these guys are coming to fuck the company up. When the Nexus, for until they jobbed him out to John Cena, the Nexus seemed like they were going to come in and wreck house. Like Retribution doesn't give me that same feeling of like dread and, oh man, all this shit's about to go down.
Right.
There's a feeling of dread, all right. just the wrong kind.
Wrong kind of dread, yeah.
Oh, I wanted to praise Keith Lee a little more because
anytime you want to praise Keith Lee, just jump on it.
That moment in Survivor Series when him and Otis were going at it was awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, now Otis has been enrolled into the Gable Academy. Chad Gable has a name again, which is nice. And Chad Gable's going to be training Otis, which could be good for both of these guys.
You know what's really good, though?
What's that?
Sam could go fuck himself.
No.
And I speak of the chairman, who is not with us this evening.
Oh boy.
And I hope he listens back because
oh God,
he gave us some nonsense last week that Alexa Bliss is like Alice in Wonderland and not Harley Quinn. Mm-hmm. If there was any doubt in anyone's mind that the shit he was spewing was true, this week on Raw solidified Harley Quinn. Yeah. Her match with Alexa Bliss, the whole way she conducted herself was Harley Quinn to a T. It was fantastic. The Firefly Funhouse was great again. Of course, the Fiend at the end, spooking the shit out of Orton. Orton looked like he shit himself. It was hilarious.
Yeah.
Like that.
You mean the frog that croaked?
Yeah. I mean, it's just so great. It was so great. Once again, they hit a home run. Alexa Bliss is doing really a phenomenal job. It's just, that was one of my favorite parts again of Raw last night.
That's the part I look forward to now. I could give a shit about half the stuff that's happening now. It's like when they say like Alexa Bliss or the Firefly Funhouse or the Fiend, I'm like, yay, and I get all excited. At the other time of the show, I'm like, okay.
Yeah, but that's the problem. You've got a 3-hour-long show and people are waiting for 15 minutes of it.
Yeah. But you know what? It is what it is.
But you know what? They're being smart about it because they're positioning them somewhat in the first hour. They're putting them in the second hour, and they're putting them in the third hour.
Right. They're spreading it out throughout the whole show.
They're spreading Alexa and the Fiend out throughout the entire show. You get a Firefly Funhouse literally like just before 10 o'clock. Then you got the match before 9 o'clock. Then between 9 and 10, you got the Nikki Cross Alexa Bliss match. Then at the end, you got the Fiend making Randy Orton look like he's going to shit his pants.
Yeah. Yeah, no, and I think that's good. Like, I think that they realize that they have something there that people want to watch, and they're putting it in the appropriate, times and slots that you usually see. The bleed over from 8:55 to 9, those in between times when people usually you don't want them to change the channel because the next program, whatever, something is coming on at 9 o'clock that they might want to watch. So you do that to have people stick through that period. Same thing, 9:55 to 10 o'clock, that period there. You don't want people switching because, this next show ends on the hour and we're going to watch the next one. So they always leave something interesting in there for you to watch.
Actually, coincidentally, when you said that, I literally just flipped back from watching Artem win Dancing with the Stars and found out it was time for the Nikki Cross match.
See, there you go. And yes, Artem, who was Artem dancing with?
She was someone from The Bachelorette. I couldn't tell you because I don't give a shit about that show.
I mean, shit, at this point, Artem could be the celebrity.
Yeah, I know, right? Then he'd have to dance.
Yeah, this is true.
It would be.
Hey, listen,
yeah.
just be careful what you guys are talking about, because you're bringing up, who's affiliated with the Bella, and there are strong rumors that the Bella Twins are looking to make a return, and go after those women tag team titles.
I
Don't remind me.
I just don't care. I'm glad somebody's excited.
Need I say more when a 12-year-old is excited?
Yeah, see, so a 12-year-old girl is excited about the Bellas coming.
That makes sense.
That's the goal. That makes sense. I'm glad she's happy about it, because a 12-year-old girl should be happy about seeing a role model on television that she wants to emulate and whatever. I just don't give a shit about the belt. Like, it's been done. Like, I know that them winning the tag team titles, that should just be a thing because it makes sense. But like, God, we get it. Twin Magic, the whole deal. Brimo, but we get it. Like, we get the whole thing.
Wait, hang on, come here.
Oh my God.
Get ready, folks.
Yep.
It's gonna happen.
They're gonna take those titles from whoever has them at the time.
They still have to have their Hall of Fame induction too.
That's right.
Okay, God, do not sing the theme song for the love of God.
Watch them be the ones that take it off of Nia and
I was
Shayna
just
Baszler.
thinking that.
Oh my God, how awful.
Oh, but
And
they
then
could.
Ronda sabotages Shayna. Oh my God.
Yeah, Brie Bella is going to pin Shayna, and then the entire internet is going to explode. Because nobody cares if Nia gets pinned, but if Shayna gets pinned by a Bella twin, she might as well retire. Well, we're getting towards the top of the hour. Oh, I want to tell you guys a real quick story about. So you might have noticed if you were watching the video version of this that I jumped in just as the opening songs were being played, and they were just getting into the conversation here. I got held up at my mom's house because earlier in the day, this all ties back into wrestling. You can blame Tyler Breeze for me being late today. I'll explain. I was watching a YouTube video on Up, Up, Down, Down. Tyler Breeze was talking about Pokemon cards and how the old Pokemon cards have become worth a lot of money. I'm like, well, shit, I had old Pokemon cards. So I went over to my mom's house. I said, Mom, where do you think those cards are? She finds the binder. I open it up. The first thing I look at is a 1998 holographic Japanese Charizard Pokemon card. I go through Google. I find it. Guess how much it's worth?
$2.
$13,000.
Holy shit!
I have
What
to get
the?
card. I have to get it. I have to get it verified by one of those collectibles companies to make sure it's the exact card. But from what I'm looking at and the markings on the card, it's a $13,000 card.
Holy shit! Merry Christmas!
Oh
bro.
my God.
Well, I kept looking. I go, oh, there's another one. I look it up. They're like, oh, depending on the condition, it could be between $400 and $1,100 for one card. Okay.
Jesus.
And I'm flipping through and I'm like, oh, this one's a couple, like even ones that were like, oh, this one's 200, this one's 100. Even I'm like, okay. So all these things from 20 years ago that I bought when I was a kid. And then the last things that I just found before I left, and again, this is why I was late, because we were looking for one more set of things. Toys R Us at one point was giving out some free Pokemon cards, and they were giving out the character Mew, the little cat Mew, and they were giving it. Mew wasn't in any of the packs at that point. You couldn't buy it in a booster pack. You had to go to an event at a Toys R Us to get them. And I looked it up on eBay, and it said $800. Somebody was selling one of these cards for, and I'm like, I know for a fact I have at least one of these things. I have 6 of them.
Oh my God.
$800 a pop, and I've got 6. If I have potentially somewhere in the range, I've got somewhere like in 20 grand worth of Pokemon cards, all because Tyler Breeze talked about it on Up, Up, Down, Down. That's how it ties back into wrestling. Thank you, Tyler Breeze, for helping me find my Pokemon cards.
That's amazing. Listen, I want an update. Like when you get these things verified, let us know. Like if it's legit. I mean, do you have a place near you that you can go to get it appraised?
Well, I have your friend and mine, Ken's Cards.
Oh, there you go.
In Berlin, Connecticut. Kensington, maybe. I don't know. I forget. I think it's Berlin or Kensington. Anyway, Ken's Cards is a great shop in Connecticut for collectibles, wrestling stuff, all kinds of things. I might talk to him. And there's a company that you can send your collectibles to, whether it's an autograph or whatever, and they verify it. However, they have basically you're paying for the certification. So if you have an autograph that's questionable, you can send it in. It's called PSA. So you can send an autograph.
Yeah, but don't send something anywhere at this time now.
Yeah,
Hell no.
I know. If there was a way that I could if I could bring it, like that's why I'm talking about Ken from Ken's Cards. If I could bring it to a shop and have like somebody who's knowledgeable in collectibles verify and go, yep, that's the one they're talking about, I'm going to be in good shape. But
don't send anything in the mail for a certificate of authenticity.
I was looking at it was so funny. I'm going through the list of like, because I know I had a couple Charizards in there, and I had like another one that was worth like $400 or $500 too. But like this one, I'm going through the list of the top whatever. I get to number 5, like, and I'm like, oh okay, and I'm looking, and it's the card that I have. There are other, you can tell by the picture, the way it's drawn and all the art. So like I narrowed it down to just this. The only one that it could be on that list says that it's worth $13,000. So if I can get that verified that I own that card, I won't be owning that card for very long. Somebody can buy it from me. Please buy it from me.
Wow, that's amazing.
I'll take $13,000 for a fucking Pokemon
we
card.
knew Vince back when.
But it all stemmed from me watching an Up Up Down Down video where they're talking about Pokemon cards.
That's awesome.
So
and our parents always told us this was all useless stuff, man.
And it also got me thinking, because the other day my friend was saying the old Happy Meal toys.
Yeah, like they're worth a shitload of money.
I have all the ones that looked like McDonald's hamburgers and shit that transformed into like a dinosaur. From like 1989 or whatever. I have those. I have the original Mario ones from like 89, 90, whatever it is, where Mario like had a suction cup and you make him hop along. I have all the old Power Rangers toys, old Beanie Babies. I've got them all, man. So like, if anybody wants collectibles, I can go through. I
have the Beanie Babies one still. And actually, you're talking about the McDonald's stuff. Remember the reindeer that they used to put out for Christmas every year, the little reindeer edition? I still have all of those.
I have the Halloween buckets.
I have some of those too, but no, I have. They're like these were like from 1984, 85. So you may not even been born yet.
I wouldn't have been born. I gotta check. I gotta check in those. Anyway, we're getting so far off topic. Thank you, Tyler Breeze, for potentially making me like 20 grand today over the course of an hour. That'll do it for the War Report today. Be sure to follow us on social media. At Tag Me a Date. That's Tag Me a Date, no spaces. At Tag Me a Date on most social media platforms, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Periscope, etc. On Twitch, we are War Report. Please subscribe to us on Twitch. If you are an Amazon Prime customer, you get 1 free gift subscription every month. If you so choose, you can subscribe to us or another Twitch creator, but we would like it if you subscribe to us. It gives us a couple bucks, like $2 or $3 every month if you do. And if enough of you do it, then we can actually monetize this thing. Just stay connected to us on social media. Subscribe to us on the Tag Me a Date YouTube page. Go to youtube.com, type in Tag Me a Date. Subscribe to the channel, hit the bell to get notifications for when we go live or upload videos. And if you prefer the audio version rather than the video version of this podcast, you can go on Stitcher, SoundCloud, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or Google Play Podcasts. Look up either the War Report or Tag Me a Date. You will find the audio version. It drops on Wednesday, the day after our podcast. And of course, our live version is broadcasting all over the web, Facebook, Twitch, Periscope, YouTube, whatever the fuck. We've got a whole bunch of platforms. You can watch along or listen along. If you comment, your comment shows up on the screen. So please, interact with us. And if you have any friends that listen to wrestling podcasts and are looking for something new, definitely spread the word about the War Report. We really enjoy doing this every week, and we want more people to hear us. So if you have friends that you think would like the show, please feel free to introduce them. And we will be back live, broadcasting, streaming all that good stuff. Twitching. Well, that sounds like you got a disease, but we'll be on Twitch and everything else. Next week, 7 p.m. on Eastern time. We've already done daylight savings time. You don't have to worry about switching your clocks. So we will see you next Tuesday, 7 p.m. Eastern time for another edition of the War Report podcast brought to you by TagMeADate.com. Thank you so much for listening. See you next week.